I'm seeking justice. And I guess in my mind, what I mean by that is there's a sense of accountability that goes with that, but also a sense of fairness.
Government's legitimacy comes from the consent of the governed. And the people in my community gave their consent to me for at least 4 years and hopefully into the future.
In a rural county, you go shake every hand, you go to every house, you talk to people about what their concerns are, what they view as being needed in the county attorney's job. You explain to them the system.
We're really the people's attorney in the sense of the criminal justice system, that we are elected from our communities, we live in our communities, and ultimately we serve our communities. We try to make our communities a better place to live, we try to make them a safer place to live, and we try to bring justice to people within our community, both for the victims and holding offenders accountable.
You stand in the middle, you do what's right, and the tough part is figuring out what is justice, what is right, what is fair to all of the people involved, the victim, the community as a whole, the offender.
When I sit down at my desk with a file, I have probably at least 5 different interests. You've got a victim.
I have to say the most rewarding part for me is working with victims. I feel that when I can go into court and I can be a voice for somebody who's been injured, who's been wronged, I feel very good about that. And I also feel like I'm standing up for the people in our community who wouldn't approve of the victimization that's going on in our community.
You have a police officer that's looked at the case and feels that the individual is guilty and needs to be accountable. Those interests are similar.
And those things are to rehabilitate the offender, to protect the community, and to deter the offender and others from committing such offenses.
You may have a community interest where they say, well, the thing they did was bad, but it's not as damaging as it could be.
County attorneys do a lot of listening, and you can't just push your own values. You have all kinds of different values that come into play.
Then you've got the defendant's family, anytime the accused come in.
But I think that everyone needs to know, whether they're rich or poor, or what race, or where they come from, or their family name, that they have been treated the same as the next person.
And you've got to try and balance the interests of all those parties.
I think justice really is a sense of an obligation on the part of the county attorney, that we aren't just trying to win cases, we are trying to do the right thing.
One of the things I like about being a prosecutor is I have the same legal duty to the defendant in that criminal action as I do to the victim or to the public in general. And I need to make sure that the defendant's rights are protected, just like the community is protected from crime.
I mean, the role of a prosecutor, as I stated before, is to do justice, to seek the truth. It is not just to get convictions. It is to do justice, and in many instances, that requires not obtaining a conviction. It's not about just obtaining convictions.
I think the county attorney, more than any other participant in the criminal justice system, first of all, has the largest impact. We can decide what charge, if any, to prosecute. We can bring that case forth at different levels.
The county attorneys are there to do justice. It's not just a matter of representing your client and trying to make someone else prove it. You're there to make sure that there is a crime that's been committed and that the evidence is there to show that this individual committed that crime.
Prosecution's not for the faint of heart. It's a very challenging, frustrating, but at the same time rewarding and fulfilling job.
I think that we are the representatives of the people and that they should be able to look to us as having the highest standard that we could have for making sure that we're doing the right thing.
And so if you're going to be given that kind of power, you have to show you're responsible and earn that power. And we should be held to a higher standard in how we act in our personal lives and in our professional lives.
Redirect, I asked her, I said, did anybody tell you what to say here today? Expecting her to say no. But she said yes. And I said, at this point, I'm nervous, but I know I have to ask her the next question, which is, who told you what to say? And I'm thinking her mother must have told her what's going on. And she said, you did. Then I'm worried, like, what did I tell her other than going through kind of what kinds of questions? But I had to ask that question. I said, what did I tell you to say? And she said, you told me to tell the truth.
And they're trying to see it not from their own eyes, but from the eyes of the community, from the eyes of justice.